start Dinesh now.
இல்ல எல்லாம் வேற வரணுமா? லைக் பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்ஸ் கம்மியா தான் இருக்கு.
ஆறு பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க. இன்னொரு 4 பேர் மட்டும் வரணும்.
வெயிட் பண்ணலாமா?
இல்ல நம்ம ஆன்ல தானே இருக்கு, ரெக்கார்டிங் ஆன்ல தானே இருக்கு, நம்ம ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாம்.
சொல்லுங்க.
நான் யோகேஷ், நியூ ஜாயினிங்.
சொல்லுங்க.
ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் ஸ்பார்க் ப்ரோக்ராமிங்க்கு வந்திருக்கேன்.
ஓகே.
4 பேர் வரதுக்குள்ள நீங்க வேணா ஒரு ஃபாஸ்ட் பிரஷ் அப் பண்ணலாம்னு நினைச்சீங்கன்னா ஒரு 5 minutes இஃப் யூ கேன்.
ஓகே. யோகேஷ், நீங்க ஜஸ்ட் சைலண்ட் ஸ்பெக்டேட்டரா இருந்துக்கங்க கால்ல.
சரிங்க.
ஒன்ஸ் இந்த லாக்டவுன்லாம் முடிஞ்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் டைரக்ட் செஷன் வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் நீங்க வந்து உங்க கிளாரிஃபிகேஷன்ஸ் எல்லாமே.
ஓகே. இல்ல நோ ப்ராப்ளம். ஆக்சுவலா வேற யாரும் இருக்கா அந்த கால்ல? இப்ப யோகேஷ் தவிர வேற யாரும் நியூ ஜாயின் இருக்கா?
நியூ ஜாயினி அவங்க ஒரு ஆள் தான்.
ஓகே. ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் என்னன்னா ஐ வுடன்ட் ஸ்டார்ட் ஃப்ரம் ஸ்பார்க். ஆக்சுவலாக whenever நீங்கள் ஃபர்ஸ்ட்டாக கிக் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுறீங்கன்னு பிக் டேட்டா என்வரான்மெண்ட்டை நான் வந்து ஸ்பார்க்லேருந்து ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ண முடியாது. ஸோ யூ ஷுட் ஹேவ் சம் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் அபவுட் பிக் டேட்டா. ஸோ பிக் டேட்டா அண்ட் ஹடூப் எக்கோ சிஸ்டம் பற்றி கொஞ்சம் நாலேஜ் இருந்தால் தான் ஸ்பார்க் வந்து கொஞ்சம் ஈஸியாக உங்களால் அடாப்ட் பண்ண முடியும்.
பேசிக் ஹடூப் நாலேஜ் இருக்கு. தட் மீன்ஸ் ஐவி பற்றி தெரியும் பேசிக்காக. அதுக்கப்புறமா ஹடூப் ஃபைல் சிஸ்டம்ஸ், how the entire backup, how it is happening. ஸோ பேசிக்காக ஐடியா இருக்குது ஹடூப் எப்படி ஒர்க் ஆகும்ட்டு. ஸோ இதில் வந்து ஸ்பார்க் வந்து இட் இஸ் லைக் அனதர் ஃப்ரேம் ஒர்க் மாதிரி யூஸ் பண்ணுறாங்க. ஸோ ஸ்பார்க்குள்ளேயே வந்துட்டு நம்ம எச் நோட்லேருந்து நம்ம ரன் பண்ணோம்னா it will do all the setup inside the Spark itself in all the nodes and it will start executing the executor. இதுதான் எனக்கு புரிஞ்சது பேசிக் அபவுட் ஸ்பார்க் அப்படின்னா.
இல்லை அது மட்டும் கிடையாது. ஆக்சுவலாக நீங்கள் ஸ்பார்க்கோட அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங் டிஃப்ரெண்ட். ஆக்சுவலாக ஸ்பார்க் நீங்கள் ஹடூப்போட கம்பேர் பண்ணும்போது ஸ்பார்க் இட்ஸ் ஸ்டாண்ட் அலோன் கிளஸ்டர். It is have a own architecture, like how in Hadoop having a different tools, no? The same way Spark having a different tools and a different it's a bigger framework again like Hadoop, and it's have a different purpose tools is available. Okay? Main where it's differ Spark from Hadoop means, so Hadoop it have the storage layer and the processing layer, அப்புறம் வந்து ETL layer எல்லாமே இருக்கு. But where the Spark it's purely ETL tool. So in a big data, if you want to write any ETL framework in a big data environment, the Spark is the best option. So the pure it is a big data ETL tool. So when you talk about the ETL tool, it won't have a permanent storage. Storage on the permanent, just data will be extract and the transformation, whatever the transformation that will be applied and persisted into some other system. It won't store permanently into that in a Spark ecosystem. So Spark when it's pure big data ETL tools. And that's why the Hadoop would differ. But Hadoop it's not like that. Hadoop like RDB Masura compare panna. Like in Hadoop we have a permanent storage in the HDFS. So whatever data you are storing, which will store permanently in that particular location. In the location store permanent but the Spark so under the differ. And the purpose for the Spark is different and purpose for the Hadoop is different. So like I can explain this much only, like again the Spark architecture, you should understand the architecture. In the like in the APIs so then only you can able to understand that what API is doing, what kind of API we had, how the API is working. So you should understand the basic architecture of the Hadoop and the Spark both. Like some concept it's brought from that Hadoop. Spark sila concept the concept like Hive similarity you can face between the Hive and Spark, the processing wise. Is it we can start a session where we end up in the last?
Yes, yes, Dinesh. You can start.
Yeah, okay. So I think in the last session we talk about the API. So as I said, the last session, just I repeat the same content. So the last sessions we talk about the different APIs. In a Spark, we have a two set of APIs: the language API and data processing API. The language API nothing but Scala, Java, or Python. So which language API are going to choose to write our Spark applications? So that is the primary. We want to choose very the primary thing before going to write any Spark applications. So the people who have a basic knowledge about a Spark, they will they will they will have most of the people have a confuse on which language I need to choose to study or to write applications. Okay, so here only that the language layer is different. If you're writing a Python, you're going to write a Spark code using a Python. If you're going to use a Scala, you're going to write your Spark application using a Scala. But the backend architecture, the Spark, how data is processing in a backend. So those everything for all the language the same layer only, because the engine Spark engine are same here. Only that how you are going to write a code that will be different. So here, so my preference, so the learning purpose and the job opportunity. So the more for the Scala. We can give the first preference for the Scala and the second preference for Python and the third one Java. So Java we have a very less project because in industry we have a very less end-to-end Java developer. So compared to Java and Python, Scala is very easy, and Scala not only that point, and the entire Spark framework written in the Scala. So the Scala is the native language for the Spark. So when you learn a Scala use in a Spark using a Scala, when you learn, that will be more simple than other languages. So this is a language API and the data processing API. So the processing API for the data engineer, as a data engineer, so we have a different API. In a Spark offering the different API, RDD, data frame and data set. So just I'll go back the history about the RDD, data frame and data set, and right now the recent version, which are the APIs available, how it started. We will going through these information. Now here, so how we are choosing a language, very primarily like when you are going to kickstart your applications, so first thing you want to choose the language. But the data processing layer, it's not like that. Your scenario will choose the which API you are going to use. Whether you want to use RDD, you want to use a data frame, that will decide your scenario and your data. Okay. So now, just first, I'll go with already we'll talk about a lot of things about a data frame. So first, we go with RDD, but here you should have some the basic understanding. So entire the Spark core is RDD. Entire Spark core is RDD. So even the end user for a data engineer, you are seeing a data frame, but a Spark will understand everything RDD only. So for the layer, it's created as a data frame for us, but backend everything is the raw RDD only. So everything Spark understanding is RDD, but if you want to code using RDD, yes, it's possible to using RDD also. Okay, and the operations are same for a data frame and RDD. So like how, so we have the operations transformation, actions, no. So the both are same. RDD also have a transformation and actions. The data frame also have a transformation and action. The operation wise will not be any different. And the backend architecture, what I was talking about backend architecture, no? So when you're submitting applications, how it's your application is running, how your runtime architecture. The runtime architecture also same for the RDD data frame. Okay, but how it's running, that only differ. How it's utilizing that that API to execute your program, that will be different. Okay, so we will go the step by step, and the next slide, just I'm moving through. So these are the transformation. Most of the time we talk about narrow and wide transformation because these are very important. If you want to understand the Spark architecture, these are the transformation differentiation between the transformation you should know. So then only you can understand that how the runtime architecture is working. Uh, uh, Please stop me if you have any question. Please interrupt if you have any questions, if you have any doubt. So the initial, the first when the Spark is built, the Spark is built with the data processing API RDD. So RDD stands resilient distributed data set. Okay. So and so IAN is RDD is very fundamental program. It's RDD is the core or the of the Spark. Okay, and all the RDDs are immutable only. Okay, I'll tell you what is the immutable and what is the meaning for resilient. Resilient meaning for the resilient is fault tolerant. Enter the big data environment, the primary functionality is the fault tolerant. So what is the meaning for the fault tolerant means? Again, we have seen a lot of time what is the fault tolerant. Again, I'll recap this content. What is a fault tolerant? So fault tolerant means any scenario the data should not be lost. For example, I'm creating already top of one data set. Okay, that is the issue. That is I'm processing. I have multiple layer to process. The second, third layer, there is a issue. The data has been corrupted. So in the sense, the data should not be lost. Okay, so I can brought up the data from the first stage when we extract the data. From the first stage, I can brought up the data. So that is called fault tolerant. So if you take a Hadoop ecosystem, it's enabled the fault tolerant using the replication, multiple replications. So I know that in Hadoop concept we have that 3 replication factor. No? Using a replication factor, so we are enabling that fault tolerant. So and again, RD is nothing but collection of transformation and actions. So entire the Spark operations are split into 2 categories: transformation and actions. You should understand this before going to start any Spark application. You should understand what is the transformation and what is the actions. So which scenario we call the transformation, which scenario we call the actions. Okay, and so when the Spark, the first version released in 2011, it is RDD API only. Okay, so RDD API nothing but it is a JVM object and it's immutable. It's a fault tolerant, and RDD using to process the structure and unstructured data. Okay, and here, so what is the structure? What is unstructured data? So in that data industry, we have 3 different kind of data types. One is structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. So what is the meaning for the structured data means whenever the data associated with a schema, okay, for each and every columns defined, assigned with associated with the schema, so we can call as a structured data. So unstructured data, example, so whatever data we have stored in our Arduino system, no, those everything we can call as a structured data. Okay, and like a SQL and Oracle and MySQL, this kind of Arduino system. And semi-structured data, nothing but so you heard about the file system, the file types, XML, JSON. So those kind of the files we can call as a semi-structure. So why we are calling as a semi-structure means if you see that the data are structured, it's written a structured way in this format of the files. But schema is not assigned for each the data. So whether what schema, what I mean by schema means data type will not assign for each data. So this is a data for this is key. This is a data type. This for file format data type will not assign. So we will call as a semi-structured data. And the third one, unstructured data, where unstructured where unstructured data is nothing but videos and photos, images, those everything unstructured data. So if you take the web blogs, so those are unstructured data. So now using the RDD API, so we can process the structured data and unstructured data. So both it's possible to process. So the first when the Spark is introduced for the production development, which is released with the only RDD. Okay. So now the next step, until there's any question, until there's any questions, because I'm keep on talking. Any questions? Anyone?
Functional transformation, that is not clear.
Functional transformations. So nothing but so like what is the here transformations? Nothing but the transformation means so when you are planning to when you want to change your source data. So for example, in a source data, I have two columns, sales and the purchase. Okay. So if you want to identify that my profit, what you want to do? You want to derive that column. So using that sales and purchase. So here, so you're going to derive the column. You're going to do some transformation on top of your data. That means you're going to change your data as a behavior and as the storage side. If you're going to do any changes, that is the transformation. So here the functional transformation means each and every transformation will work as a functional only. For example, if you take in a SQL format, so we have that all the SQL like all the SQL transformation are written on a functions only. So we have the predefined function and user-defined functions. Okay. So how the functional transformation will work means if you want to pass the parameter, from the parameter will throw the one output for you. Correct. So all the transformation, it's a functional transformations. We should have some argument for each transformation. It should have some argument. You want to pass the argument which will be written that value for based on your argument, based on your data. Okay. So nothing but each and every transformation is written as a function in your data. Okay. So here you can write your user defined function also. So like how in a SQL you are writing. Got it? Any other question?
No,
So
it's clear.
Yeah, I'll move for the next slide. So what are the different ways we can create a RDD? Okay. So different ways we can create a RDD. So first, the parallelized collections. Okay. So here the RDD you can create from external data set also and the internal data set also. So what does it mean by internal data set means? For example, so you have you are creating some variable. In that variable you're creating some array of data. In the data you want to create as a RDD, so you can create an internal data set also. You can convert into the RDD. So like in a Spark context parallelize, using the parallelize method, we can convert that internal data set. Like if you see that first example, I'm creating a sequence of the data, the mathematics 52 English. That first row is a subject, first column subject, second column is the mark. Okay. So now with the sequence of the two values, so we can call as this is the array of tuple or sequence of tuple. From the sequence of tuple, this is the internal data set. Okay. The data is not getting from that external way. It is internally in a program we are creating this static data. Correct. In the data, using the data, if you want to create a RDD, we have the parallelize method. So before that, what is Spark context? Any questions? Before that, what is the Spark context? Small history. I'm going back, and I'll tell you what is the Spark context. So this is you should understand from what is the Spark 1.6, the 1.1, the earlier first version. From that 1.1 to recent version 2.3.0, 2.3.4. Okay, the recent version until this version, how it changed the Spark context. Okay, so if you take earlier version, the before 1.6, so we have only the RDD operations. So where we have only the Spark context. So Spark context, nothing but your entry gate for your applications. So whenever if you are going to write a Spark, you're going to write a Spark applications, the first step you want to open your Spark gate. That means you want to create a Spark context first. So you want to initialize the Spark context first. If you want to initialize the Spark context, you should have the Spark like all the Spark jar. Using a Spark context purpose is you want to do any RDD operation, Spark context enabling all the RDD operations like RDD transformations, RDD actions, everything, RDD functions, everything. The Spark context enabling, Spark context offering all the RDD operations. Okay. After 1.6, so I'll come later for after 1.6. So the Spark context, it is used to create the RDD, is offering all the RDD operations. Okay, so now the using the Spark context only, we can able to create a RDD, we can able to process the RDD. Any question on here? And from external data set, how we can create. So from external data sets, here I gave us some example, Spark season. So forget about this one. So I'll give one more method how you can create an external data set. Okay. So in a Spark context itself, Spark context itself, we have the text file, text and f is caps text file. So it's a text file. That is a one method to create a RDD from the external files. The text file means it's not mean by we can create a RDD only from the text file. It can be any format, CSV or text file or any format. We can create a RDD using a text file. So once you create a RDD, and you can play that you can play the data using that RDD. This is an external file. You can create a RDD. And the third one, the creating RDD from the existing RDD. So already I have created some RDD. Based on some operations, I'm going to create a new RDD. That's also possible. This is a three different way we can create the RDD. We can initialize that RDD. We can work with that RDD. Any questions here?
I have a doubt.
Yeah, a little bit louder. 1 minute. Yeah, can you be a little bit louder?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Oh yes, tell me.
Yeah, but your voice is very low for me. Very low for me.
Okay. You told there are two external RDD can be used from external data sets and internal data sets. But initially, when starting, the difference between Hadoop and Spark is that Spark doesn't have internal storage. Then what does that internal data set mean here? Is it like a temporary setup, or I'm not clear about it?
No. So here, what does it mean by external data set? Yeah, yes, the Spark doesn't have the permanent storage. So for example, so in a ETL, when I talk about ETL, the first step, data extraction, the second step, data transformation, third step is the data loading. That means E for extractions, T for transformations, L for loading. Here we are talking about only the E, okay, extractions. So I need to extract the data, okay. So how I can extract? So I can extract from the internal data set. That means, so I'm going to write some Spark applications where just I'm creating some array variable, some static value. From that value, I can create an RDD. That is the first step. Okay, I'm saying. Here, external data set means I have some external files. It is not within my Spark application. Okay. So in some X location, I have some data, some CSV. From that CSV, I need to create a RDD. Okay. From the CSV, I need to create RDD. So now, as the Spark application view, the data set not within as my Spark application. Data set, the read, whatever I'm going to read, no, that data, it is external only. It is not internal, correct? It is some other location, maybe some HDFS location, anywhere. Okay. Just like that, my source is external source. I'm not saying that it's storing permanently inside the Spark storage. My source is external source. From the external source, how I can create a RDD? The data, how it's creating as RDD, how I'm reading as RDD. Is it I answer for your question?
So you say like from Kafka, we are extracting the data. So those considered as external data sets.
Yeah, Kafka is external storage. In a HDFS, some HDFS location, I have some CSV file. I want to read the CSV file inside my Spark application to do some data cleansing. Okay. So now whatever data I have stored in HDFS location, no, that is external data set for me. For me means for Spark, as part of the Spark application, data set is external data set only.
Thanks, Vinay.
Yeah, again, I'm
Dinesh?
not, yeah,
எனக்கு ஒரு டவுட் இருக்கு.
yeah.
அது இந்த இன்டர்னல் டேட்டா செட் வந்து சைஸ் எவ்வளவு வேணா இருக்கலாமா? ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள்
No.
வந்து இப்போ
No, internal data set, for example, array. Okay, na? So you were creating some array. Okay. So on the internal data set, this should have some limit. So why? Because the internal data set it will occupy. In a Scala, you initially in a Scala, for example, if you're writing a Scala, in a Scala, if you're creating some array, so it should have some the limitations. For example, you're creating array. So each array, so whatever that array element you are creating, the storage will be allocation for that element, correct? That will be occupy your Scala storage only, whatever your local storage you have. Okay, when it's exceed, so that automatically when you're creating that list, no, when you're creating the array, okay, if you're creating a too much element, no, that time will throw the memory issue. Okay, because I had that issue. So one of my projects, I have the list particular array. It is having around like how you have the two values, no, like this I have the 6 values, and how here we have that only the 5 subject, no, like this I have my array size is around 56,000 elements. Okay, so that time I got a issue with my list. I got an issue with my array out of memory exception, because entire array data will try to store in your memory. Okay, so when it is exceed your memory, it will throw the exception. But usually will not create that much huge array in my static way. We will not able to create that much huge array. Okay, but the small size, it's until 1,000 element or 2,000 element, it's possible. It's possible.
அது
Element means number of record, or it is like
number of records. Here elements, I'm taking a 5 elements. Yeah.
parallelize ஒரு தடவை சொல்லுங்க. அது என்ன பண்ணும்?
Parallel is nothing but like so if you're going to if like if your source, okay, source, if you're creating inside the application, if you're creating array, so array again it is that if you're creating array in a Scala, it is Scala object, it is not a Spark object. Okay, it is Scala object. Okay, so now you want to do some process using a Spark. So when the Scala object, if you want to convert into the Spark, so you want to use the RDD parallelize. Using a parallelize, the Scala object, it is convert to the Spark object. Okay, so here that's purpose we are using a parallelize. The second external data set, the same way it is a one file. In that file, if you want to convert to the Spark object, you are using that text file. The parallel is nothing but it is a predefined method inside the Spark context. You are not going to do any code on that. Just in a Spark context, that's parallel you can call, and you can give that internal data set directly to create a RDD. Any questions? Is it clear? Any questions?
It's like parallel is not going to store the data. That means it is not going to create the RDD in all the cluster mode. It is not so.
No, it will create a RDD. Parallelize also create a RDD. The parallelize is method to create a RDD from internal using internal data set.
Internal data
So,
set alone. Okay.
yeah, internal data sets. What I mean, some variable, some argument, some variable. You're creating some variable data, some static data you're creating from the data. For example, the first minute. For example, I'm creating array. So array of whatever the sequence we have seen here, Max and English. This one, no. Until the sequence, no, that sequence it is a scalar objects. It is a scalar data. Okay. So, but I want to do some process on this using a Spark. So if I'm doing some process on top of the scalar object, that will not whatever that Spark we have that feature, no, like a parallelizing and as when you talk about a Spark, it is that big data and distributing data distributed across the different machines, and whatever the Spark feature we have, that will not apply on the scalar object. So when it is converted to that Spark object, after that only these distributions, all the big data related functionality can apply. Okay, that is the purpose. If you want to convert the scalar object to Spark object, you can use the parallels.
It's clear now. Thank you.
Any question?
No, we can proceed.
Yeah, okay. So this is a different way to create RDD. And the next slide, I'll go for that. What are the limitations we had with RDD? So when you talk about the limitations, and we can expect some other update from that system, correct? So what are the limitations we had? In this entire RDD, it's no schema associated. Okay. So since we are processing on structured data, so it will convert to that. It will convert to the without schema only. Schema will not associated with your data set. When you're converting RDD will go use the purely use the data, will not associate any schema. Even if you are processing structured data, so will not associate any schema. Okay, and here optimization. Okay, so when it's using RDD, even the structured data, if you are doing some RDD operations, all the optimization user need to take. User need to do the entire optimization. Okay, so like if you want to tune the code, so while you're writing the RDD code, you want to write in a performance way. You want to tune your code. So each and every line you need to check how it performs when you're writing RDD code. And the reading from the multiple source is difficult again. So if you want to read from that different source of files, no, it is more difficult in RDD. Okay, and combine the multiple source also difficult. Like if you want to combine the 2-3 source, it's so difficult in RDD. So to resolve this all the problem, the later point after 2013, they have introduced the data frame. So data frame, it's purely used to process the structured data, and it's purely schema associated, and it is doing the optimization automatically. So when you're writing a data frame, when you're writing a program using a data frame, so it automatically will optimization. So you were even user writing a different way code, so that internal optimizations will take the role. Spark will do the internal optimization, will do all the fine tuning and internal optimization on your code. And the reading from multiple sources is very easier. For example, if you want to read from some RDMS, a data frame, just you can use the JDBC, ODBC drivers. So all the sourcing from the multiple sources is very easier, and combining the multiple source also is very easier in the data frame. So then you can ask, like everything it's easier, why we need a RDD rather than we have a data frames, why we need a RDD, correct? So all the scenario data frame will not be suitable. Okay, all the scenario data frame will not be suitable. So when it is structured data, when you can write a query in a SQL, when you need it's possible for the parallel processing, that time only we can use the data frame. Okay, so the rest of the scenario, unstructured data, in your process there is a iteration is required. Iteration is the process is demanding your iterations. So those scenario you can use only the RDD. Okay, so now only we saw about that RDD. So these are the some information about RDD. So just I'll open for 5 minutes. Any questions? So if you want to ask about a general question about data frame or Spark also, you can fire. Any questions?
Dinesh, you want to share your screen or
No. Just I'm seeing that participation.
Okay.
In case chat, if they ask me any questions, I can answer that.
Okay. Yeah, you can access my notepad and you can type what if you want to type, something you can show in notepad. இல்லாட்டி அங்க இது இருக்கும் பாரு, அங்க ஸ்கிரீன் டயகிராம் போறது மாதிரிலாம் இருக்கும், அங்க மேல போனீங்கன்னா தெரியும். அங்க இல்ல அந்த கிரீன்ல கொண்டு வாங்க. கிரீன்
ஆப்ஷன்
அந்த நோட்டேஷன் இருக்கு பாரு, இத கிளிக் பண்ணிட்டீனா ஏதோ டிரா பண்றதுனா டிரா பண்ணிக்கலாம். போர்டு மாதிரி இருக்கும். சப்போஸ் இன் கேஸ் ரைட் பண்ணனும்னா நீங்க ரைட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். கிளியர் பண்ணா அங்க கிளியர் பட்டன் இருக்குல, அது கிளியர் கொடுத்தா கிளியர் ஆயிடும்.
ஓகே.
ஒயிட் போர்ட் ஆப்ஷன் இருக்கும் அங்க.
Okay, I'll check.
You can make it clear. நீங்க கிளியர் கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா கிளியர் ஆயிடும்.
இல்ல எனக்கு வந்து நீங்க full screen வச்சிருக்கிறதுனால I'm able to see only the screen only.
Okay. Escape கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா இதுக்கு வந்துரும். Escape.
Yeah, no problem. I'll see. So any questions on this already?
Dinesh, if you want to load RDBMS data, what's the procedure in this case? Using that external.
Sorry. Can you speak a little bit louder? Yes. ஏன் தெரியல, சவுண்ட் ரொம்ப கம்மியா இருக்கு.
No, if you want to.
சவுண்ட் கேக்குது.
எனக்கு நல்லா கிளியரா கேக்குதுங்க தினேஷ், உங்க சவுண்ட்.
இல்ல நீங்க பேசுறது சவுண்டா கேக்குது. ஸ்டூடண்ட் பேசுறது எனக்கு சவுண்டா கேட்க மாட்டேங்குது. கொஞ்சம் சவுண்டாவே சொல்லுங்க.
கொஞ்சம் சவுண்டா பேசுங்க.
Hello, இப்போ?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. The RDBMS data load பண்ணனும்னா, so what is the procedure? Using that external data sets we can use, or is there any other?
Yes. So since RDBMS data, it's not an internal data set, it's external data set. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an external data set, but so when you are using RDBMS, first, for example, you are going to write an application, your source is RDBMS system, correct? So before going to write application, whether you're going to choose which language, you will choose that. Initially you should choose. Okay, I'm going with the Scala. Okay, so now you're going to write a Spark application in a Scala. So now your source is RDBMS. Okay. So now your source is RDBMS means your source is structured data. So now what you want to initialize? Even external data set also, whether you're going to use RDD or data frame, you need to take the decision. Okay. So here, since it's a structured data sets, you can use that data frame directly.
Okay.
Any other question? A common question about a Spark also can rise.
Same way we can fetch the HDFS data also here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try to open my.
Dinesh, one more question. You said RDD, we have these are the difficulties. That means these are the limitation. So in the data frames also has the same limitation, or what will be the overcome?
Yes. So I said that 2013. So if I'll go with the data frame slides, so whatever the limitations I say, it's there with the data frame, which is rectified. I'll go with that. I'll go up. Different slides. So again, if it is data frame, before go to the limitations, the same way how we can create a data frames, those are, okay. Sorry. So the data frame API, it's introduced in 2013. Okay, since the so always RDDs exist. Okay, so it is the distributed collection of row object. Like you can imagination like how in RDMS we have that row and column format, no, correct? As a table, how we have a table, no, data frames in equal to table. Okay, so you can visualize in that way. Okay, so like in RDMS how we have a table, the row and column, the same way data frame is a row and column object. Okay, again it's also immutable and fault tolerant, and it is 100% the processing structured data. Okay, and the data frame, so we can manage the schema also. Managing schema is nothing but we can change the data type, we can introduce the data type, we can change the column, we can remove the column. Whatever the SQL operations we are doing with the RDMS, no, all the SQL operations 100% we are possibility. Okay, like a SQL operations, I'm talking about DDL operations, like not update those operations. All the select operations, whatever we are doing, no, everything here is possible. Okay, and this data source we have a different API. So each different API, that all the API will supporting all kind of the source. For example, next slide I'll go what are the different source it's supporting. The data frame I can able to create from the Hive data, CSV, JSON, any kind of RDMS, XML, Parquet, Cassandra. From RDD also I can convert to the data frame. So data frame, it's a wild operations across most of that the relational database structured data sets will be covered in the data frames. Okay, so any questions?
Yeah, it's clear.
So then so again it is a different way to create a data frame. In that already I said the Spark context, correct? In the data frame when they introduced in a 1.6, actually we have a three different that API, Spark context for RDD, SQL context for data frame, Hive context for Hive. Okay, for example, if you want to read a data frame, any data frame for any RDMS or CSV or text file, you can use a Spark SQL context. Okay, and if you want to read data from the Hive, you should use the Hive context. But later point after 2.0, they brought up the single gate. It is a Spark session. Okay, now using a Spark session, it is offering all kind of data frame related operations. Since the Spark context we have, it's offering all kind of data already related operations, already related transformation operation, everything. Okay, so since you want to create a first here in the that when I talk about already, I said the first gate. When you're writing application, the first step you need to create a Spark context. After 2.0, okay, after 2.0 versions, after 2.0 versions, the first gate, first initialize, you want to initialize a Spark session first. So the Spark session is the entry gate for your Spark application. Once you create a Spark session, from the Spark session, you can infer the Spark context, everything. Whatever you want to do operation, whatever data set you want to read, everything now in a single source system, it is a Spark session. Okay. So this is a way we can create a different, again, here also in an internal data set, we can create a Spark again, but there in RDD for internal data set, Sparlace, and external data set, we have that text file. But here the Spark session, either internal data set, external data set, everything, using a Spark session, we can create as a data frame. And limitation, again, we have a few limitation on the initial data frame. So it is not a compile time safety. For example, so whenever you're writing a Spark application, no, so the column, if any column is not exist in your data frame, you are accessing some column, the column is not exist in your data frame, well, the compile time will not throw any error. Okay, so while running the application, that time only will throw the error. So compile time safety is not exist in a data frame. So the recent version is available, and it is cannot operate a domain object. That means, for example, if you're converting RD to data frame, okay, if you're converting some the transformation purpose, you are converting to RD to data frame. So once you're doing some data frame operations, again back to if you want to convert the data frame to RDD, just like that, you wouldn't retain that original format. Okay? That is not possible for the existing data frame. To override this, to resolve this all the problems, the recent version after 2.0 they introduced the data set. So data set nothing but it is a combination of data frame and RDD. Okay, but the recent version what they did means data set they combine with the data frame. Now the data set data frame both it is calling as a data frame. Data frame have this all the feature. It is a compile time safe. Now we can, it is supporting a domain object and it's supporting RDD operations. Everything you can use the data frame itself. So now they will call as a data frame only single object. You can do all kind of operations. Any questions?
Domain object is not clear. You're saying like RDD cannot convert into data frames, you see.
I didn't say cannot convert. So from, for example, some purpose, I'm converting a data frame. Okay. So initially is my data set is initially there is a demand. I'm creating RDD. Okay. So once that RDD has been created, no. So some purpose, some requirement, I'm converting that RDD to data frame. Okay. So I'm doing some data frame operations. Again, if you want to revert back to that format with the change, if you want to revert to
not possible.
Data frame, sorry.
Again, rolling back is not possible.
It's possible only, but we can't retain the same structure. So when you convert to RDD to data frame, what is the structure exists in RDD? No, same structure we cannot retain. It will give the different structure only. You want to do the lot of operations to retain the structure. So that is a problem with that domain object. But the recent version when data sets when data set introduced, no, that is the resolve. So now the data set it's possible to do the retain. So I'm trying to open some Scala application. This is my new nation. Any question?
No, it's clear. It's clear for me.
Yeah. So if you take practically, so most of your project scenario, almost 70, is again, you can take a 60 to 70% of the project, we will use the data frame only. Okay. So already it is some of that data set we want to use the already, but most of the project we will go with the data frame only, because now since that we have a 70% of data project, it's depends on the structured data only. So when it's structured data, we can go with the data frame also. So you want to focus more on data frame and the Spark, the backend architecture, how it's running the backend runtime architecture. You want to focus more on that area. And try to write us some code here. Any questions? So then I'll explain how to create a project, a Spark project, how it will work in IntelliJ. I plan to explain. Before that, any questions? I can answer for that.
Difference between data frame and data sets?
So difference between data frame and data set. The first primary difference is like data frame used to process the structured data. Data set used to process the unstructured data. Primary difference. But somewhere, if any project, anything is demanding that iteration process, even if you're using a structured data, okay, it is demanding that iteration process. That time you should go for that RDD only. Iteration nothing but for example, if you familiar with the SQL, what is the purpose we are using that the cursor? Anyone can explain what is the purpose of using a cursor if you as a SQL expert?
It goes by row to row, and dynamically it will go and fetch the data row by row. So
Row
if
by
you
row.
modify it, yeah.
Yeah. So when you want to process something row by row, instead of, for example, instead of cursor, if you're writing some in the store browser, if you're writing some query, that query will apply parallel on top of all the rows. Each rows will apply parallelly, correct? In that way will work. So when you are applying this cursor, the cursor will process row by row. First row will pick and will do all the process, second row will pick and second row will do all the process, correct? So that kind of wherever you wherever you need that cursor, that place you can use the RD. So if it is iteration is required, that time you can use that RD. Got it?
Okay.
So two scenarios. If you have your data set is purely it is unstructured data, directly you can go with the RDD. Okay. But you have a structured data, that structured data, it is demanding this iteration process, like how SQL is demanding a cursor. In that way, structured data is demanding iteration process. That time you can go with the RDD.
You're saying RDD or data set?
RDD. Iteration
RDD.
process RDD.
Okay.
Any questions? So I will open up my Khalil. So these are all about very the theoretical things about RDD. So we will see some practical, but it's not enough to understand about the RDD. So you want to work more on RD, then only you can get all end-to-end RD knowledge. I'll going through how this basic Spark application is create. We want to create. I'll go through that part. So is that any questions? Just you can ask. You can stop me. கலில் நீங்க ஸ்டாப் ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க. நான் வந்து என்னோட இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் ஷேர் பண்றேன். கலில்
தினேஷ் சொல்லுங்க தினேஷ்.
நீங்க ஷேர் பண்றது ஸ்டாப் பண்ணுங்க. நான் என்னோட ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேர் பண்ணிக்கிறேன்.
ஓகே. நீ ஷேர் பண்ணிடலாம் தினேஷ்.
Give me 5 minutes. Meanwhile, any questions we can, the common question we can discuss. So meanwhile, I prepare my intelligence. Any common question about the big data also we can ask. It's not depending on only Spark.
If you have any audio issues, no, you can make a chat in that chat place. So we will also respond to that chat as well.
Is it time audible for everyone?
Yes, Dinesh,
Audible,
you are able.
Audible.
Clear.
Yeah. So we can take a 5 minutes before I'll set up that. Meanwhile I'm setting my intelligence small quickies that I'm doing. So if you have any questions, just any common question about big data, Hadoop, whatever the doubts you have, so we can spend that 10 minutes to solve that question, to answer for your questions. Any questions you can ask. It's not only depending on the Spark. Any common question also.
So in the interview and all, they used to ask like, how will you fine tune the Spark code? What are the areas you need to make sure like the performance issue should not be impact? So
so if you take any technical interviews, no, the performance tuning is very important interview for any technology. Correct. So in Spark also we have the performance tuning, and all the areas we have the performance tuning. So Spark. So if you understand the basic architecture, so how we are going to do the performance tuning? Like when you're writing a code, you want to make sure your SQL should be the direct way you are doing the calculations. Because any the problem, we have the multiple solutions. We have the multiple solutions. We have to solve the multiple different SQL queries. We can solve the problem. Correct. So what kind of the query you are choosing, how it is, uh, how it is directly supporting your Spark, your performance. It's a depends on your how you are writing a code. Then another the performance tuning we can do in the Spark configuration side. Okay, so when you're submitting a Spark application, what is the configuration you plan to call? Okay, what are the configuration you're going to infer from your cluster? So that is also decide your Spark performance. For what I'm talking about means like how many cores you are going to take and what is the number of executor you're going to use, or how much memory you're going to use. So everything will design your performance. Many factors is that the Spark, the code-wise performance and non-code performance, the configuration performance, so many places in the Spark. Usually in a SQL, you can tune the performance only the query only. Here not only in a query, so how you creating a project and how you going to submit your Spark applications. So everything will design your performance.
Okay. So you have any kind of checklist available? Like these are things you need to take care for any standard.
No, we don't have any checklist, but it's it will based on your scenario, your requirement, how you going to write your code in your using the SQL. In the SQL, how you going to write? Based on that, the performance will be decided. And another, the second area I said the configurations. There we have some procedures. So based on your data, you need to call the executor and memory everything. So before going to process, you want to make sure what size of data I'm going to process. So this is size of data, that this is a configuration I need to call. For example, small size data, if you're calling the so too much of configuration, too much of data queue, no, so that is also will impact your performance. So the correct data size, you want to configure the correct configuration.
They were asking like you should not do wide transformation, and mostly we need to into the narrow transformation.
So that is, it does not mean by you should not do wide transformation. It is wherever you're using a wide transformation, you should aware of, here I'm doing some wide transformation, so there is a shuffle is possible, so the performance will get affect. Okay, so any your manager, any team, other team members are asking why your application taking too much time, means you can give that acknowledgement like I'm using so many wide transformation, so it's split into multiple stages. That is why it's taking much time to process, much time to complete the applications. You want to give a justifications why it's taking a much time. But when you're using a narrow transformation, this will not take a more time to wide.
So to practice the Spark application, we need to set up locally, or we have any free websites or anything like that.
So just we can download that from the Apache Spark. We have a jar, whatever versions, the recent versions we have, no, just we have a jar. We can download the jar. We can set up our local also. So just small like how the environment variable we are set up. In a micro Windows also we can set up. In the environment variable, just you want to set up that what is a Spark home, what's a Spark bin path. If we set up these two, that is enough. You can access your Spark cluster. You can create a Spark cluster in your local itself.
So I need to download the Eclipse and I need to configure this.
No Eclipse. You want to download your you want
To execute
you
the
want to
code and
download
all.
your Spark jar from that Apache
Okay,
location.
I will download that.
Okay, any questions?
I got two versions here. One is Spark 3 and Hadoop 2.7 or 3.2 later.
Yeah.
Which one I need to do?
Spark 2.3 you can pick. So all the Spark version, all the Spark jar internally have a Hadoop version also. So
Yeah.
Hadoop version they compare with that Spark 2.3 with Hadoop 2.7. So anything you can take, whatever that it's preferred by that in Apache, no? So which is in that locations you can take. Because all the Spark clusters inbuilt with the Hadoop clusters. Hadoop cluster inbuilt means Hadoop ecosystem. The concepts are inbuilt. That is why it is internally called in Hadoop.
Okay. So Spark 2.4 is the stable releases it mentioned.
Spark 2.4 it is not a stable release. If you check, I don't know what is the recent stable one. So, but most of the companies in the production version they using the Spark 2.3.2 to 4 because still once the stable versions after release after a couple of time will take some time to go for the production. We use for productions. So don't go for the stable, whatever the recent stable versions. Whenever you explain the entry, just to take some standard production versions which occurs the many companies using. So whatever the version I am saying, no, 2.3.2 or 3 that you can take.
Okay. Recently, they released stable version 2.4 is on February. So almost 1 month
They
later.
release, but still it's in February. Most of the
Yeah,
companies
yeah,
still
got
they
it.
will not
Yeah,
try to use. It will
yeah.
take a time. At least this end of this year only they will try to use. Because when they release, it's maybe so many, sometimes Java so many bugs. So other that community people, they will use and they will give their command. Based on that, too many changes will happen that version also. So sometimes what even the stable version, the recent stable versions, no one will use for the production purpose. Okay, just I'll share my screen and I will try to create some project. Just let me know once you're able to see my IntelliJ screen.
Yes, we are able to see the screen, Dinesh.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know how much possible to write some code, but I will tell you some procedure how you can write a Spark application, how you can create a Spark application, what the role playing by IntelliJ. I'll tell you something about. If possible, the next session I'll come up with some code so we can write some code. Okay. So this session, next I'll talk about IntelliJ. IntelliJ nothing but it's when you plan to use the Scala for the Spark. So IntelliJ correct platform to write the code. Okay. So like how someone talk about Eclipse, no? In that same way we can use the IntelliJ to write a Spark code. Okay. So whenever you're creating a Spark applications, you want to make sure whether you're going to create a Spark application SBT dependency or else Maven dependency. What is your the dependency repository, whether you're going to use the SBT or Maven. Okay, so what is the difference between these two means? Whatever I am using, this is a SBT. Okay, so Maven, it is moreover, again, we'll have all the dependents in XML kind of format. Okay, so but this is, you want to take a decision when you're creating an application. Okay, first you want to take a decision whether you're going to use a Scala or Python, Java. That's the first decision. Once you go with the Scala and that Scala, then whether Scala or Python, both the place, you can take a decision whether you're going to use the Maven or SBT. So when you're creating a project, you want to make sure whether you're going to use the Maven or SBT. Just I'll create a new project, select in a new Safari file. I'll go with the new project. Sorry, my mouse is moving too much. So new project. Okay, so here if you see the Scala, under the Scala I have the SBT. This is a SBT project. If you're creating next, I'll get a SBT project. If you want Maven project, here you have a Maven, one more option. Here also you can create a Maven project. Okay, so so I'm creating I'm more familiar with the SBT project. I'm creating SBT project. So both are, if you, even if you're creating a SBT or a Maven, so the Spark code base, you will not have any changes. Spark code change, Spark code is same only, since the same only thing. So where your dependency repository, what dependency repository you going to use, whether SBT or Maven, that's only the difference. Okay, other than that we don't have any difference. So once I'm creating a project, as I'm creating a SBT project, just interrupt me if you have any question, please.
So UI is IntelliJ IDEA.
IntelliJ IDEA, it's not a UI, it is a platform to write a code, like
Yeah,
how
IDE.
I can say some idea, like in a C# we have Visual Studio, like Java we have
Okay.
Eclipse, no, that way. In the Scala, most of the people they will use IntelliJ. For Java also now the people using an IntelliJ is a very easier platform.
For PySpark also we can use this.
PySpark also, yeah, Python code also they're writing in IntelliJ. Yeah, it's possible. But I'm seeing most of the Scala persons, they're using IntelliJ, Scala and Java. Okay, so just I'm giving my project name. First Spark. So here my JDK version, actually this is wrong. My JDK version available only the 11. Actually the JDK version I should use the only 1.8 only. 11 will not support for the Spark. Okay, so 1.8 JDK version should download. 1.8 version you should use. So here I need to reinstall. I'll reinstall. I'll come back tomorrow. Okay, and that SBT versions here, the SBT version always I need to choose that 0.1.30. This is the Spark supportable SBT version. You want to use this, and the Scala version we can use the before Spark 12 until 11. Until this any version you can use. I'm choosing a 2.11. These two I'm choosing. Okay, so just I'll give a finish. Only my JDK version is wrong. So even I'm creating a project, but I couldn't do any code on this project. At least tomorrow I will explain. I changed my Java version. I will explain it. So now my Spark project, not a Spark project. This is a purely Scala project. My Scala project is created, is running. I'll tell you when it's changed the Spark project, how to change Spark project. Any questions on this? Because since we are in the online session, I'm not able to see your face, whether you had a doubt or not. I'm not able to predict anything. That's only I'm asking again and again, you have any questions or not. If it's in-person class, I'm able to read your face. Actually, if you have any doubts, any questions, I can answer, but it's not possible here. Actually, now what it's doing means like whatever the Scala version I have in a SBT, SBT whatever the dependency we are giving, so just will try to download all the dependency related jars from the internet, from that particular location, and will download and store in external libraries here. That will use for this entire job, entire applications. That's only whenever you try to add any dependency, that will take time to do download. So if you see that downloading the Scala library from Maven repository, it's try to download the Scala jar. So this is a jar we'll use for to write all the Scala code. So whenever you're adding a dependency, will take time to resolve. That means it will take a time to download. So once it's come up, this we can wind up today, and tomorrow what I'll do means, once you're creating a Spark application, I'll come up with I'll change my Java versions. I'll come up with a Spark some already related code. So how you can create already, what kind of operations we can do. We'll play with some already. And from the whatever I said, from internal source, how I'm create already, from external source, how I can be able to create already. Or once I'm creating already, how I can view and how I can process the data. So everything we will see tomorrow. Meanwhile, this is not my personal laptop, so I set up just now. That's only I need a time to for set up more. So you can ask any big data related question or Hive related, any or else the interview related question also you can ask. So because this will take some time to download. So anyone get chance the last month went for interview? Not this lockdown period, before lockdown.
I gone for the interview for the Spark itself. They were asking questions like how the Spark works, and if
No,
you submit a job.
I'm getting your background noise. What is the
Is
name?
that fine? Go ahead.
One minute. What's the name? Yeah, please talk.
They were asking like how the Spark works if you submit a job, and if it has any narrow transformation or a wide transformation, how it works, how the job will be submitted, how it will be executed, how it will be respond back. They're asking the flow of that Spark. So I could not able to answer.
Do you remember we took the runtime architecture?
No, today is my first day, so I don't.
Oh, sorry. So today our first session. Okay. So we had a session for the runtime architecture. In the runtime architecture, once you submit a Spark applications, how the backend process will happen, everything you will explain in runtime architecture. In the slides also we have. So once when you go the in-depth, the Spark some hands-on, then we will go for the runtime architecture. Then that runtime architecture, how we'll explain means, once you submit a Spark application, how the backend will execute a Spark application. That means how the narrow and wide transformation will split, and how the DAG is created, how the stages are created, how the multiple tasks created, how the iterating by each stages, what are that, uh, what are the pros and cons for when you have the multiple stage. So those everything we will see in one particular session. That will be used for this kind of interview questions. That is why I'm not able to explain right now. I mean, that is a huge session. At least we need half an hour to explain end-to-end process. Any other entry questions? You heard it?
What are the problems you faced in the Spark execution? When you execute a job, did you face any errors? What are the difficulties you faced? These are the
So
interview questions.
difficulty again, when we made a mistake, when we are picking a wrong configurations, that's not all you can say the difficulty. So like if doing a shuffling, no, for example, the shuffling part. Okay, so I have a shuffle configuration. Okay, by default is 200. So if I forgot to, if I didn't mention the any shuffle configuration, no, that time, so between the stages the data movement will happen very slow. Data movement will happen with very less resource. Okay, that is the issues. So when you miss to apply that the shuffle partition like this, everything, sir, whenever you are picking a wrong configurations, whenever you pick to some, forgot to pick some configuration, that time it can, the Spark application may be struggle. One of the example is Spark shuffle partition. Like this, we have too many examples in the configuration here. Any questions?
Configuration and
I think your voice is not getting. Can be a little bit louder.
configuration சொன்னீங்கல அது எனக்கு சரியா புரியல.
So configuration நான் சொல்றது nothing but so while you are submitting this jar, no, so the Spark submit configuration. Okay, Spark submit configuration. What is the number of executor going to use? Number of what is the core? What is the processor you're going to use? That related to that configuration. Like what is the driver memory? What is the executor memory? Executor core, and what's the Java option going to use? And what is the shuffle partition? What is threshold timeout exception going to use? Too many configurations we had. Some 1,000 configurations we had, but all the configurations wouldn't call in a single application. What are the configurations required for that your application, demanding for your application, you need to call. Any questions? So okay, that's it. That's it. The today's sessions we will wind up. So tomorrow what I'll do means I'll come up with some the RDD use cases, the real-time use case. Okay. So we will do some code and we will do some hands-on tomorrow. So you can try same with if you have IntelliJ setup in your local machines, or else if you have the Spark setup in your local machine, you can try. You can try this whatever we are doing tomorrow.
Okay, Dinesh. Dinesh, tomorrow morning, no? Tomorrow, no? Like what time we should have between 9 to 11 or 10 to 12?
Yeah, this time is okay.
10 to 12 is better.
Or 9 to 11, no? Like you can spend some time after 11 o'clock. We can close it by 11 o'clock itself. No problem. We can have it by 10 to 12 itself. Then.
Sure. Yeah,
You are okay with the
everyone.
time?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Dinesh?
I'm okay.
Okay, thank you. So the recording, no, will be available, no, by tomorrow. It will be available in our website. No, you can take it from there. So this session, no, we'll just close it off today, and tomorrow exactly at 10 o'clock, no, we'll start the session. Thank you, Dinesh.
Yeah, thank you, Khalil. Yeah, thanks to everyone who joined.
தேங்க்யூ.